Hello, fellow masters and servants. Yes. We are talking about Fate this universe, this Thursday. We are talking about the Fate universe on this day. I am Archer Supreme Ruler class Static.
Oh.
I'm joined by the Rider class Zog, the Archer class Kelz, and the Caster class Strange. How are you all doing today?
Applauding your conviction and also the fact that you fucked it up hardcore and followed through.
Yeah, man, I wasn't even gonna do that, but I was tired. So yeah, shout out squad. But yeah, if you can't tell, we're talking about a Fate in the best Fate in my personal, very biased opinion.
Yes. So we're getting to the film trilogy that is Fate, Stay Night, Heaven's Field. We're talking about the first film out of 3 in this podcast, which is one of the 3 routes of the visual novel Fate, Stay Night.
Can't believe all this came from one visual novel. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the visual novels are pretty extensive. Like, I really want you to. Granted, I don't think any of you will, maybe besides Zog, ever play a visual novel or read a visual novel. But if you ever do, and you want another one besides Fate, Data Live actually has a really, really good visual novel, and I recently finished it. And
I haven't done that one yet. I did.
What a story! Harem's have the best stories.
Is that how that works?
I stand on that. On that.
It's sometimes how that works, yes. But if you want one that's not quite a harem, freaking Steins Gate is actually a visual novel. They have Steins Gate Elite for the Switch, possibly other consoles. That one is basically just taking scenes from the anime and use them as the visuals in the visual novel. But yeah, visual novels are literally just book, except choose your own adventure. And as the choices come up, a good visual novel like Stay Night will either lead you down one path or another, and your choices will genuinely matter. Or you'll get something like Telltale's The Walking Dead, where just look it up on YouTube and watch the videos. It's not worth actually playing.
I like the concept of The Walking Dead with the branching paths and in game format that your decisions also carry over as the new chapters release and that kind of narrative storytelling in game format. But that doesn't translate well in the same way. Well, the formula is reversed, right? Because that franchise came from first a graphic novel and then a TV show and then into a video game.
Yeah, it's kind of reversed. The big thing with those games was that, like the first one and the second one, your choices kind of mattered, and they would take you down slightly different paths, slightly different things. There was literally a part in one of the newer games where it's a flashback to before the end times. You're playing dominoes with your dad and brother, and your brother literally slaps down the one piece to where it didn't matter which one you chose. He had the winning one.
The One Piece, you say?
I was like, One Piece.
Yeah, blame me this time.
He was the pirate the whole time.
Oh.
Lord. Yeah, but like there's a bunch of like visual novels. Like some of my favorite, of course, Fate is probably my favorite. Data Live, it's really, really good. Digimon Survive counts as a visual novel, but it was like surprisingly good for the recent content that's come out.
What a lot of visual novels will do is they will incorporate other kinds of gameplay in there too. Like you said with Survive, there's turn-based RPG kind of battles in there.
Yeah,
where you get the grid and the strategy and all that.
I've played
my favorite
a little bit of Survive. It was like, well, I do want to go back to it, but it was just like, it's not what I'm used to, and it looks very nice. Looks very pretty. But I was like, all right, yeah, I got to do the tutorial battle. Another like 3 hours later, when's the next battle? I don't know.
You know a a visual novel, excuse me. You know a visual novel that you would know, Strange?
Do I know?
Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney.
Oh yeah, do you know about that
That's
one?
very technically a visual novel.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of my favorite visual novels are those Fruit of Grisha. Like, if the anime is wild, which I feel I gotta put that on the list. I'm gonna make us watch that because that is wild shit. But the visual novel is even better. Like, I'm pretty sure you've all seen the clip of this man just walking into like a freaking armory and like killing this woman. Like, it's I'll play it for you after podcast. But anyway, so yes, what we're actually here for. Fate Stay Night Heaven's Field Part 1 Prestige Flower.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that makes sense. All of it.
yes. I mean, once you again, Strange. For
We'll go through-
Fate, you
we'll
have
go
to
through
watch the whole thing. It doesn't make sense until you finish it all.
If you
So.
read the last 5 books in the side
No.
series, you could
No.
understand why
No.
they call it Prestige Flower. and
No,
Heaven's
you
Field.
understand why it calls. No.
Zog, what do you got? And then I'll bitch a little too. Zog, what do you got?
Dude, I appreciate the jokes on that, but goddamn. No, thankfully with Fate, if you're looking to understand just like what this story has to offer, you don't have to look past this story. That being said, if you know nothing of the other 2 routes, maybe not start with this.
Yeah, I would say
So-
don't start with this one.
So to say you just have to know what's going on in this story, right, is accurate, but it buries the lead of by the time you make it to Heaven's Field, this shit's already so convoluted in just Fate Stay Night, right?
Yes.
Because the whole idea, referencing the light novel and the way that this is being produced, Studio Dean with the OG in 2006 with Fate Stay Night, doing this kind of amalgamation of route adaptations, but primarily focusing on the female love interest of Saber, right? We come into UBW, Unlimited Blade Works, when Ufotable takes over. And we move into the Emiya route where it's all about the fucking spirit hero Emiya, the hero
Heroic
of
Spirit,
justice,
Emiya, Shiro's convictions, all that. Yeah.
and the love interest being Rin Tosaka. This, in the same way that you need to unlock Heaven's Field route, in the visual novel, you have to complete the first 2 and not do any kind of triggering events that would kick that off in your 3rd playthrough. You definitely need to know about at least Unlimited Blade Works before you move in to Heaven's Field, because there is a lot of glossing over and there's an expectation that you know what happened and you are in for the changes of the plot as we go back through it, which is an interesting take for this specific franchise.
Yeah, and Fate Zero was interesting because Fate Zero came after all this because people were like, yo, we want to know about the reference to the first Holy Grail War that set this one up. So it was really cool how that one worked and progressed.
Ufotable actually did Fate Zero before they did Unlimited Blade Works, specifically because it was a test thing for them. It was them getting their feet wet with this, and it's a story that they knew had to lead in to all the Fate Stay Night stuff. So they knew what the ending had to be. They knew what it had to be going into, as most prequels are. That being said, I like using that, even though Studio Dean's probably the best introduction to getting into Fate. I like using Zero because, one, the moments are a little more hyped. They're a little more like. Mm, Dean did theirs way back in like a different age of animation.
Yes.
And Zero's a little more like what all modern Fate is going to be like. But unlike a lot of the other ones, it gives you just a pure Grail War. It gives you the ground rules. It tells you exactly what's going to happen. It lays the basis of it, of just what this is, so well that when you get into UBW, Heaven's Feel, Apocrypha, and all those other ones that are so different, you get the basic idea already, and you can just look for, okay, that's an exception because of this. Okay, that happens because the rules are slightly different here, and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that Dean, like in the modern era, that Dean is the best introduction to Fate. I always hear you either gotta like. So before it was always you gotta watch Zero. Zero's like the one, and I feel like especially the Netflix era, because that was like the accessible one. Because there was like this time that like I feel like it's called the Netflix anime, where people say, "Oh, Sword Art is on Netflix, so it's easy." XYZ, Full Metal, all these that aren't, but were. I think Fate still might be on there. I'm not sure, but and now I've even heard people say like Apocrypha is a good gateway into Fate, which I gotta disagree with that one, only because like the nuances that happen, and I feel like you should watch Apocrypha after you watch the Stay Night routes, because it is like a ultimate tangent. But honestly, Fate Strange, when it comes out, might be the jumping on point for a lot of people, because that one has a really good explanation. Well, so
yeah,
I'm excited.
Which, even then, there's a couple things in there that people probably aren't gonna get unless they've watched Zero.
So
Yeah.
the real answer at this point, and you know, because a lot of people don't even know about Studio Dean's adaptation, the real answer is Fate Zero, UBW, and then moving on into Heaven's Field, kind of the release order with Ufotable's adaptation.
Pretty much. If you chronologically follow Ufotables, you're not going to be missing out on a whole lot.
You ever think they might go back and? No, you're right. I think we did talk about that when we talked about the Dean version. If they like would go back and redo it, kind of thing.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Out of respect for Studio Dean's adaptation, one reason, and two, they've moved on beyond UBW.
No, this is
at
true,
this
but
point.
I guess my thing is like to make it more available, because it's really not available in a whole lot of places unless you dig.
Which,
And that's
some
my
cases,
only hang
yeah.
up.
I don't think going out of the way to make available a single route in the story is of interest, especially when they're moving on to other material that they've got. Yeah.
Especially since the visual novel itself isn't exactly widely available for people.
Which is
Hell.
weird. You think it would be?
Well, there's a lot of licensings and whatnot,
Yeah.
and Natsu himself said he wasn't really like proud of the visual novels that much. Because of certain things that happened in the visual novels that were left out of the animated ones for a reason.
So let's touch on this idea, because visual novels, are an experience, right?
Yeah.
And oftentimes there are specific genres and tropes that come along with them, and audience expectations, right?
Yes. And
So-
unfortunately for visual novels, one of their biggest markets is eroge, hentai, stuff like that. So sometimes to have a product
Grandma
that's
goes
going
in
to
the grandma had
sell,
to
sometimes you got to just give in to the market a little bit.
Yeah, like how we regenerate mana.
Yes,
Partially, yes.
I'm out
But-
bugging.
But that's also why there are some versions that have that stuff cut out. There was an anniversary version of the light novel called Rialto New that had most of that stuff just cut out. It was on the PSP. It still never got an American release.
course
or
not.
all the translations are done by fans.
I am waiting on the light novels to get American release. Never will. So I did buy, I bought the, you all don't know. Dog knows what. One, it's the story of the 13th. It's story of the grill distortion 13th servant.
I'm just saying, like, I appreciate your attempt to avoid spoilers. I don't know what the fuck a Grail distortion is, so
I think
don't
I know
worry
what you're
about
talking about.
me.
but
Again, the only thing I know is the moon server. That's all.
How do you know about that?
We've talked about this
wiki.
several
He's
times
worse than
before.
me.
No, I've played the Fate Warrior-esque
it had to be-
games because it looked cool.
Fate
I had
Extra.
no idea what it was.
That game confusing as
Fate
fuck.
Extra is. mhm.
I just know is everybody was there.
You want to talk about confusing shit? Fate Extra. High concept? Fate Extra. Oh dear God, Fate Extra.
Bringing it back
Probably
to the OG, let's talk about Fate Stay Night, Heaven's Field.
Yes.
So we talked about needing to have watched UBW to really understand the way this works. The setup, the main characters exist the same between Ultimate Unlimited Blade Works and Heaven's Field.
Yes.
However, the way that these interactions and plot points developed, who is the character of emphasis in this path
Yes.
versus another, is the thing that changes. And we knock out a lot of the early stuff very on in the first half hour. We kind of jump right through. Well, we get a bit of background, a bit of prequel information, in the way that Shiro
Sakura.
Emiya and Sakura got kind of in the relationship that they have, where Sakura comes over to his house and helps him out with domestic duties, cooking, cleaning, just hanging out, folding laundry,
Making breakfast.
making breakfast, these kind of things.
Throwing him her eggs.
Not yet. We don't.
We're
We
scrambled
don't
this
see
time,
them.
Sakura.
Exchanging
We
mana.
don't see them. We don't see them regaining their mana in this part yet. But no, we do see the interaction happen. But one thing we don't get is why she shows up out of the blue to do so. That's a mystery that we have left over in this first film.
Yeah,
I thought that.
it'll be answered later.
Well, I thought they already
She-
answered that one. Or am I
Well,
thinking of-
it's so what they said, because I watched these. Sorry, talking about Fate again. I couldn't wait. So what they explored in this one was that I always watched you, and with the whole jump rope thing, I want to be LeBron
Yeah,
James
but-
type energy.
Yeah,
but
but
there
in
was-
the very beginning of it, when she started showing up at the house,
It's because he got hurt from
he got-
practice.
yeah, he had gotten hurt and everything, but I'm pretty sure there was a line there that said, Shinji sent me over to help you out.
Yeah,
Well,
but also Shinji's
but, like-
a fucking asshole, and it's Fate. There's gotta be something going on over what I'm being told. What's the real motivation?
And that's what we figure out in the third movie.
I gotta wait another film to. Okay,
Trust
go
me,
ahead.
you're gonna
At
have
least
plenty to keep your mind occupied in the second movie.
But what a way to introduce this. What a way to emphasize the main relationship, romance-wise and kind of plot-wise, with it being Shiro Emiya and our love interest, presumably this route with Sakura.
I don't trust nothing.
Wise man.
With that, we also, we get that set up. We go through a little bit of background interaction between some characters. And when it's time for the event that happens in every single Fate Stay Night route, the schoolhouse fight, him
Shiro's
getting
death.
Shiro's first death.
Thorfinn
Instead of
getting hit in the
seeing-
back of the head with a broom.
Instead of seeing
And
that all over
Screw
again,
Thorfinn.
that would take 4 episodes, we get to that point, and that's where we roll some credits. We get a slideshow type deal. We get some credits. We get some cool animation, and we move beyond it. Right?
Yeah.
What was your concept of that?
Could you imagine if we did have to watch that part again?
Exactly. Exactly. We've already been shown it. Hell, I think they straight up used some footage from their run of UBW during that montage. But yeah, it's the third route. By this time, you know the story. By this time, they've already done one where you got to see all this stuff happen. And they've spent in so much time on the build-up and the backstory of everything, building that, what you call it, slice of life kind of energy, and that pattern up until that point. Fate shit popping off. We know we about to get the craziness coming. Let's just skip to the part where the decisions start splitting.
Yeah, no, which I like how they did that, you know, because like you've already seen it, presumably, and I liked how it happened. Like you can still kind of see it, and then like honestly, those parts were kind of really jarring for me because you just saw, especially in Unlimited Blades work, because it was the first 3 episodes. I saw the fight twice from 2 different perspectives. I'm like, all right, it's cool, you know, we love Kukulane.
Deserves so much better.
Yeah, he did, but he never got it. Well, that's not true.
That fucking Lancer luck, man.
Man, listen.
They got the worst luck.
Hey, all we gotta do is get Fate Grand Order animated, and then we'll have Lancer Redemption.
We have a couple of those animated.
Well, I mean, you know which one I mean. The one with purple haired chick. I can't.
How many deep is that?
Yeah. How deep is Fate go? Grand Order?
Yeah. How many deep is that?
It's deep. I think we're at like 500 plus servants. No, they said they want to flush it all out because they have more than enough money.
In 2030. They said that,
but here's the thing. Fate Go is still going.
Yeah, no, I mean
using all
so is Sesame Street though.
Using all the profits from Demon Slayer, we are going to finish Fate.
So here's the thing about Fate. It's animated by different studios because there's just so much. Like, we probably won't get more Ufotable Fate because Ufotable kind of said that they wanted to like part ways with Stay Night. They felt like they did it what they could do, and I'm like, I respect that. You know, we have one of the best fight scenes ever in the 3rd movie, and I will fight anybody on that. Anybody who says it's CGI can catch these CG hands. So I don't care that there's CGI in it. There is, but that doesn't make it bad. And if you have a problem with that, go kick rocks in Malaysia. Ice rocks. But anyway, so we've got A1 Pictures who did, I believe they did the Knights of the Round Table one. And we've got JC Staff did that one. A1 Pictures did the Grand Order movie in series with Lacola. It's Luacola. Do you know the Aztec god? Her name I can never pronounce.
Quetzalcoatl?
Yeah, there we go. I'm calling her Luacola because from Maid.
Dragon Maid.
Yeah, Dragon Maid. But yeah, Quetzalcoatl. So
I guess I appreciate that we're taking this brand and not letting it be, you know,
there is no way for it to go stale or.
Yeah, we're not waiting on a single studio to keep going. Like the brand is continuing.
Yeah, I will say
better or worse.
I will say sometimes though that does hurt because I just think about if we would have got the Knights of the Round Table with the Ufotable animation, like care to it, I would have.
Okay. Speaking of Knights of the Round Table, it's time to bring up my ultimate point. And it has to do with the pacing of animation or anime films, right?
Yeah.
So, how would you compare your experience with Heaven's Field Part 1 with other anime franchises that have been turned into movies? The one that comes to mind immediately for me is not Demon Slayer. Well, yes, we're gonna talk about Demon Slayer, not Evangelion, because that's a whole other bag of worms. But film adaptations after an anime, like Digimon Tri even farther back with some recuts and re-edits, some director editions, Gundam. How do you feel this fits in the anime movie adaptation of a franchise?
So I feel like, and it's kind of biased because I've seen all three already, but I feel like it's one of the best. I feel like it's paced incredibly well. I feel like you get the whole experience of a whole series in these movies, and I think that's done really well. I think that Digimon Last Kuzuna was kind of a dumpster fire in the pacing, if I'm being completely unobjective, like taking my personal feelings out of it. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Last Kuzuna with my whole heart, but like just here's the villain, and boom, bam, all this like kind of happened. We could have given you, like, we spent like about a good 15 minutes on a chase scene, and then it just like, nope, I'm not your enemy. This person is. Kind of like skyrockets to the end.
But
and then like the end kind of drags a little bit. Like, and it's just like, we could have just used this time that we drove to explain why the Fudge Nuggets Gen 2 is out here doing what they're doing.
But at least Last Kizuna, a Digimon
Oh,
evolution.
I meant Try. I'm sorry.
Yeah, at least Kizuna finished.
I overread Try with Last Kuzuna because my mind doesn't mess with Try.
Yes.
I'm like, Last Kuzuna was so good. I was like, no, Try was awful. Awful.
Try was meant to be 3 films, just like Heaven's Field.
Yeah.
Was blown up into 6 because money. The same
No, because people
problem
lost
with
their
Boruto.
People lost their mind too. It's like they didn't expect Digimon, as huge as it was, to be as big as it was when it came back. So when it came back in the theater, they had like record sales for anime movie at the time. They're like, yo, people love this because the first one was paced correctly because that was already done. And then they were like, they went and told Home Dude, stretch it out. And he's like, but I don't want it. Stretch it out. We own you. This is Japan. So
I will. And that's probably why I kind of stopped watching it, because the pacing of, like, I had watched up till maybe the 3rd one.
right when it all went downhill.
And then like right after that was I was like, I watched half of it. Right, I'm just like, oh.
Yes.
I'm gonna just take a break from
the
it.
third one's where the problems started to show, because that's when all the
Yeah, no.
problems hit in production wise.
Yeah, that's when we should have ended, right?
Yeah.
And we're still
But,
going.
Yeah, this trilogy has the advantage of knowing it's a trilogy. You can take that extra time in the beginning to just do pure setup, do pure emotion, and just give that. And let the craziness and action just be something short, sweet, to the point. Because you'll have the time later when all the stakes are established and to give us the big, drawn-out, crazy fights.
Yeah.
Which is a problem with a lot of anime in general, let alone anime movies that have such a shorter runtime to run with. That's like Dragon Ball movies are fucking notorious with this. Short setup, cut down,
Long
who
fight.
the hell cares? We're here for the fight. And then the last half of the movie is nothing but the fight.
Last 30 minutes to an hour.
You
Wait,
know,
Go ahead.
you know what I feel? Two things, quick things. You know what I feel like does that really well, what you just said? Oddly enough, I feel like the My Hero movies have like that sweet spot of pacing where it just feels like it flows so well. It might not be the best pacing, but the flow is immaculate.
Yes.
Like, I don't feel like we stay too long on anything. In all 3 movies, like, I feel that way. Heroes Rising was by far the best, in my opinion. But, like, the first one was exquisite with pacing. And then the third one was really good, too. Like, Fleck Turn got to be a little bit of a hoe. But, like, you know, the second one was really good. Like,
the second one is the best My Hero one that they've done, hands down for me. But yeah, you're right. They do it very well, but that's the thing about pacing and storytelling. You pick up the pacing and you need to move faster when it's supposed to be intense. You're supposed to have that feeling. that intense feeling of like dread or threats or whatever. That's why
Yeah.
thrillers are so nonstop, except for like short 5-second breaks or whatever, so you can catch your breath.
Yeah.
But when you're allowed to just have like 5 minutes worth of just good sound design, and just character acting, it can take you so far out of that nonstop serious mindset. You can start seeing those characters as potential people, which when the dread starts hitting, it hits all the harder because of that.
Yeah. And I was gonna say that way you turn back to the Digimon, but I just had like a super brain blast. I mean, Neutron moment is like, I just realized in the Digimon movie with Kabuterimon becoming Hercules Kabuterimon, he was fighting off the other 7 Digimon. The 7 labors of Hercules.
That's 12 labors,
Boom.
motherfucker. Anyway.
Same thing.
Okay. Good effort. Couple of things from me on this concept. There's a real distinction between franchise anime films that are not canonically important, and shows like this, and movies like this and Digimon Tri that are canon to their franchise. Right.
Mm-hmm.
This is the next step in this story.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a bit of a difference in the presentation there. But also for me, the pacing, and I think this does that very well. The pacing, keeping the action moving, the storytelling interesting with the new plot developments. I think it does it very well. The one hang up for me in the pacing of this film is it's expecting you to know and remember so much that we don't really spend time on explaining who these characters are, or explaining or demonstrating how these experiences are different than what we've seen so far.
Yeah.
With the other routes. But I'm sure we've got 2 other movies to go through that won't be relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have plenty of time to like circle back, or to be like, oh, this emotional beat. It's an adaptation too, so they have the whole story in front of them. What could have been a reveal here that wouldn't have been as big a deal, but in the visual novel, he reflects on it back over here, where, oh, this must mean this. This is why she's thinking that. This is why this is happening. Since we're not going to get his inner monologue all the time, just move the reveal over to that scene in the next movie, and suddenly we've gone from, oh yeah, right, I remember, to, fuck, that was the situation all along.
And
I'm not-
writing wise, that's a good way to keep you hooked coming back to the
Yes.
sequel. Yeah.
And like, I'm not trying to be rude to anybody, but this is gonna come off to rude and some people. I know it is, but it is what it is. What I like about
Yeah,
Fate
fuck 'em.
is it hires its watcher, codes its watchers and viewers to a higher level of cognitive thought and a lot of other things. You can just kind of watch like a lot of anime and a lot of other things. Like, you don't need to turn your brain on to watch like Dragon Ball Z. Honestly, I had to think of an anime that wasn't thought-provoking. But you can just sit and watch it. Like, they're literally a whole episode of screaming. Like, they broke another
Yeah.
universe by screaming.
Yo, you don't have to pay attention when you're watching Girls in Panzer. You
Yes.
just are there
Yeah.
for the experience and a
Yes,
good time.
exactly.
That's-
Until
You don't
until
have to remember what Pot of Greed does. They will just tell you.
it won't matter anyway what Pot of Greed does. Like,
because it's banned.
like, no, because Yugi doesn't give about your rules. That's why.
That's
Like,
also
if-
true.
Yeah, because like Battle City was bullcrap. But anyway, Merrick should have won. Anyway, so
Joey
like-
should have won.
Yeah. Joey
Joey
really
should have got next on
Joey
Duel's Kingdom,
should've
if we're being
won.
honest.
I
He
mean,
should've
he's a
always been in
third-rate
the
doer
final
with a
round.
fourth-rate deck. Get the fuck out of my sight, Joey.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, Kaiba should have won. If we're being completely honest, but
On it, yeah, because he ran the damn tournament.
yeah, and that man spent $1 million on cards. Anyway, sorry, but Fate, like, it drags you in and it like has everybody's like, oh, Fate tries to be edgy and all that. I was like, but no, it's like, because even watching it for like at this point, what, the like fifth time for me, fourth or fifth time, I love it so much. There's still things I notice and see because there's just like different ways and different perspective, and like what to look out for, and it's just like almost like it's not like sensory overload, but you just see a lot of things, and you're like, okay, this is like for instance, just the whole thing with if you look through, everybody's like, where did Tiger come from? XYZ, or on the character Shiro's guardian. And if you look through those pictures, you'll see the process of her meeting Shiro and how that happened and everything, how like her connection to him. Like, but that's
Yeah,
something you won't notice on the first watch through because
the
your
call-
mind's
Yeah, the callback to Fate Zero, where
yeah.
Kuritsugu buys the house from the mobster, and the mobster's the like uncle of Taiga or some shit like that.
Yeah.
So yes, both things can be true at the same time. Fate is kind of just edgy, right? But also it can have a complex story that has expectations of its viewer to pay attention. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and how to phrase this? I see that a lot as like the responsibility of the creators is to tell the story as cohesively as possible. But you can always add little touches like that to enhance the experience or whatever. All of those things are up to you. It's essentially your responsibility as a part of the audience to look for that. If that's what you're here for.
Yeah.
If it's like your fifth time watching it or whatever. But you just entering in and watching it the first time, this is all you're here for, is just the experience that they have presented you.
Pretty much.
All right, so
I mean, like,
so sorry to cut you off. Before we move into the plot, what's your opinion of your experience with TV format versus movie format? We've seen one film, and we may need to come back to this after we've watched all of them. But what's your experience so far with this plot and experience with 12 to 24 episode TV series compared to a film?
It's a little trickier to say with this as the example, since like there is one of the biggest differences in the routes is like which servant dies where, which one's the big bad, which one's getting killed by what, and how things happen. I would say if this was a series instead, this movie would have ended on like episode 7 or 8 of a 24 episode thing. Essentially you got everything from all that in half the time. It was paced well, it was presented well. I think this would have been the better better way of experiencing it than that. The only
Format?
the better format, thank you.
Okay.
The only other like comparative way the only other kind of experience I can think of to compare this to was like the Demon Slayer movie. Movie was good. I liked the movie. I honestly thought my experience with the movie was far, far better than anything I experienced with the show up until that point. When the show came out and retreaded all that ground, they added more stuff. They added more character bits. They tried to make it different enough that it wasn't stale for old viewers.
It was worth going back to watch in the anime adaptation.
Yeah, exactly. Unlike what Super did.
Or Boruto.
It kind of ruined it for me. I'm gonna be honest. I had a much worse time watching those parts that was covered in the movie in the show. And I don't think it was because I'd already experienced it with the movie, because it was like a year removed that I watched that stuff. And I had done nothing with Demon Slayer up until that point. I specifically waited till that season was over and done with before I went back and watched that. And it was such a slog, it took me like an extra 6 months just to get through that and start the new shit over again.
Yeah, I got an opinion about the Demon Slayer films pacing plot-wise. But I'll get into that at another point. Strange. This was you and me's, yours and mine, excuse me, first experience watching Heaven's Field. What's your opinion of this? And you had a point previously. If you want to throw that in there too.
Oh, well, I don't remember that point, but it's fine.
Fuck
Oh, yeah. Watching this film, it was definitely. I can definitely see why it's better paced is because you only have about 2-ish hours versus like with a show, which is like 25 episodes and each of them are 24 minutes. I can't
6
do
to
math.
8 hours investment. Yeah.
You know, you have to kind of stretch it out. And sure, it can allow for those character moments to happen. Those, little things we don't see in the movies. It's, oftentimes though, that's not the case and it's just stretched out. But with the movie, and I guess it kind of works because people who come to see these Fate movies, they've already been through this route probably at least once or twice before. Might as well give them something that's like a little more digestible, like So I think it works for its benefit, and I can definitely see why this is arguably maybe the best route to watch for the stay night anyways. I've liked it so far. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm on board. I can't wait to see the sadness in the next 2 movies. But yeah,
as a Studio Dean fanboy, I have an objection. But no, I agree. And for me, it the route is different, and so is the presentation, and that's what makes it interesting to me with with Heaven's Field, because the experience is just a bit different as well. As cinematic as Ufotable could make the TV show with Unlimited Blade Works and previously Fate Zero look good, right? They could invest so much more time, effort, and money into the Heaven's Field film to make it just this cinematic, tight, nuanced experience with the medium. Things look crisp. Things look nothing like Studio Dean. And that's part of the reason that this works so well for me,
And
go ahead.
I was gonna say, for me, I definitely prefer the movie format over the television series, because like it's kind of a combination of all you said. You have less time to add like filler buff, like it feels like things hit. And normally when you produce a movie, you can produce higher quality, not taking as much time. So a lot of movie anime like a lot better. Shows sometimes it's to the detriment. My Hero, other.
My Hero just keeps getting things stolen away from them.
Yeah, thanks, Mob Psycho. I'll let it go eventually, but
what?
Mob Psycho and
they're done by the same studio, so a lot of the animators went from My Hero to Mob Psycho for that 3rd season.
Yeah, that was supposed to be kind of like the best animated stuff in the series, but Mob Psycho got president, which I guess I understand because it's in, but like, come on, bro.
At least it's not fucking.
Yeah, Seven Deadly. Yeah,
Yes, Seven Deadly Sins.
Yeah. No, I would have two-pieced up.
That's all I'm saying.
I would have two-pieced up. Yeah, that was the last project Studio Dean did, fun fact. And then they went bankrupt because of that. Yeah. Anywho, but just all those variety of reasons, and the fact that like the movie threw a lot of stuff in that, like, as it came last, this is the route where we find out about, Hero's like lineage, and when he finds out who Ketsu.
Well, they touched on that in the Dean one too.
I mean,
Like,
yeah, they touched on it, but this one straight out, he's like, "Yo, I know who my dad is. I know why you hate him, and thank you for not being predatory. because you are a centuries-old woman, and I am."
Also, put some respect on Dean's name. They still producing stuff. They got fucking Sorcerer, Stabber, Orphan.
Who?
Sorry.
Wrath of God. Yeah, they still coming out
Yeah,
with stuff.
yeah.
However, that's
Totally.
neither here nor there. We're talking
Yeah.
plot.
My bad. I apologize. That's
one-
all of me.
One thing for me, I prefer the movie format as well.
Yeah.
Because of our watching preferences at this point in our lives, right? So, while we can sit down and watch a 24 episode anime series, and technically the runtime's about an equivalent length, 6 to 8 hours over, 24 episodes.
It's a little easier to fit in some movies.
Yes, the experience to have a well-rounded off story plot section in about 2 hours of time investment makes you feel satisfied. Still hooked, want more information, but feel satisfied with your experience and your time investment. And you can find 2 hours here or 2 hours there and get a complete arc.
Oh,
yeah.
It's easier for me to find, like, even if I got to interrupt it every now and again, 2 hours in 1 week is so much easier to find than 6 to 12 hours.
That's true.
Definitely more digestible. Doesn't take as long.
Yeah, for sure.
Me too. Let me tell you. So that said, let's talk a little bit about the plot, the experience. What are some of the major changes? Let's get into some spoiler territory.
Yeah, hot
and then
spoilers.
Let's wrap it.
Hot spoilers. So yeah, the plot of this one is focused more so on the Matoi's role in this Holy Grail, the eighth Holy Grail War. Fifth. One of them's the eighth. I don't know. The fifth Holy Grail.
Isn't. Not with this one, anyway. The Fuyuki Holy Grail War that was established by them for this one. I'll get into the aftermath after the third movie and all that later down the road, but no, this is the fifth one.
There's an eighth one, but this is not the eighth.
It's a different Holy Grail entirely.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying there is an eighth Holy Grail.
Okay, so nuanced shit that doesn't matter to the Fate Stay Night routes. This is a Holy Grail War, the fifth Holy Grail War.
Yes, the fifth Holy Grail War.
The fourth Holy Grail War that we saw with Fate Zero.
Yeah, so we're in the Holy Grail War, and this story is focused more so on the Matoi's point of view than it is previous ones. So we can't say who the actual main character of this one is going through the other ones. But we see that a lot of things happen different than they do in the other one. We see Assassin has a bigger role in this one than he did in the other ones. Like, he's actually making plays. There's a anomaly in this one that is sucking up servants and solving them and just being a whole ass problem. The assassin get off screen, which makes me sad because I wanted to see that fight, but oh well, it happens. Well, the reincarnation of the assassin summoned by Castor, not the main assassin, but the false assassin.
The false assassin, yes.
Yes, explaining fate without going into detail is
the assassin that we saw from UBW that was every swordsman ever written in fiction just got blown the fuck up from the inside by apparently the new true assassin, which is a callback to fucking
Hero, I think.
Oh yeah.
No. Well, sort of. Yes. Again. Okay. By the end of the movies, when this one's dead, I'll explain everything.
So he looks like the one from Fate Zero, but technically a different dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the non-spoiler
The different dude's brother. Oh, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Technically, you're not wrong, but technically,
right. I was joking.
Very technically not right.
Yeah. So anyway, this is the story of that, and we see how things play out with the same masters and servants. Just things happen differently. Castor is much faster. Ryder is not holding this one, thank goodness, because
that part doesn't still make any sense.
Dude, you got 2 more movies.
Okay, I know, but
don't stress over it yet.
Yeah, so that does get explained, and we see a lot of Shinji in this one, which it's one of those necessary evils like Rachel from Tower of God or Mine from Shield Hero. It's like one of those necessary evils you have to have because you're supposed to hate this character. But man, do they play the role so well. Like to the point when I hear Shinji's voice actor and other stuff, I'm like, I'll never forgive you, you dumb twat. I say that? I mean, I say it worse. But like, so it's interesting to see in this route more of them, and it's also like, is this the same Shinji from Nero Claudius? No, it's not. If that answers your question, Strange, that you might have had, because I know you said you played the game, you might have been one. He was here, he was not.
I haven't really questioned that. So.
If we ever touch on the anime adaptation or the games for Extra, I will explain that, but...
I pray we don't. Isn't it Encore? Wait, what's Encore?
Encore is basically a re-release of Fate Extra, the game, with like new graphics, new finishing shit. It's essentially the same story, just re-release of the game.
In the words of Cosmo from Fairly Odd Parents, then came the great Fate era. Everybody loved Fate, and then there was too much Fate, and people revolted.
Too much BGs.
Yep. Too much Fate. But yeah,
there is no such thing as too much Fate.
I mean, true, but yes, but true. So we see like the whole history of Shiro, and while his whole hero of justice, like, also what I noticed in this one is like, how does Kure, the priest who is creepy as all get out, like eating soup very interestingly, how does he know Shiro's dream to be a hero of justice when Shiro never told him that? Like, I just noticed that. Like, on this watch through, I was like, Shiro never mentioned this to him.
I mean,
neither did Emiya.
Okay, you know in UBW how they're having that conversation as well? He straight up asks, like, what would his wish would be. They kind of skim over it in this because, of course, we know what his fucking wish is. We don't need to be told what his wish is. Everybody knows what his damn wish is. So, yeah, they kind of skim over it in this one, but in another route, since this is early in the thing, they meet early in the story, it is discussed, yada yada. Pain in the ass. Remember things from previous things, kind of pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
But then Berserker attacks.
Bazaka.
Yeah. Again, something that happens early enough in that it has to happen in every version.
Yeah.
Also a big enough selling point that it gets animated in every version.
Bro, that man shows up and puts in the work.
He
also,
ain't even
this
trying to.
Everybody.
This is the moment you know that we are R-rated, because it just feels like, yeah, fuck her up, and then you can violate her corpse because she's got regeneration powers. Like, excuse me, ma'am, hold on, time out.
Excuse me.
And then tweet beep or whatever that was.
It was tweet smash fucked up.
It was
Beep.
it was like there's those moments of like, wow, that's really dark and violent, to tweet beep
the homunculus that's
lady.
hanging out with
yeah, when she can't, the one can't talk. Got you.
Yeah.
Okay, I was very much, and I was like, her birds haven't shown up yet, so that's why I was very confused. Now it makes sense. It's birds.
Yes.
She can also make wolves.
Yeah.
Can she combine those into like different things?
Yeah, she can make
like
chimera bird wolves.
Oh,
Yep. Watch the Magical Girl.
that is awesome. I need to
Seriously
watch
though, we should
series.
watch the Magical Girl.
I think we should
We
watch
have
the
about-
Magical Girl series.
If you have about 230 like episodes of time,
No.
Not anywhere near that.
Why?
fake fan.
So you know that one's gonna be a slow burn. We'll get there eventually.
It's okay. You really can. I can tell you that, but I suffered, so y'all.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, we do have a
That-
dope episode though, like where she fuses. You know what? Never mind. So like, yeah, cool
Anyway.
things happen.
Shiro
Ilias
gets fucked
Field
up.
is. I hate this is my favorite version of Fate, or I don't hate it, but like it's also my favorite version of characters. Like this is my favorite version of Ilias Field. This is my favorite version of Sakura. This is my favorite version of Rin. My favorite version of Emiya. It's my favorite version of like.
I mean, you know more than I do, but like Rin didn't do a motherfucking thing.
No, he did.
That we saw on
he got
screen.
He got
Right.
whapped.
Well,
That's
Rin
exactly-
is a female. Rin
And?
Kosaka.
So well,
He
we don't
said,
see-
Oh,
listen, Zog.
Sorry.
Strain
I
said
heard
he
Rin.
didn't do
I
anything.
meant to say Emiya.
Shinji.
There you go. Shinji. There
Yeah.
you go.
That's
what I meant to
Strange
say,
thought.
right.
That's why I said Rin is a female, because Strange said he didn't do anything, implying he had the wrong character.
So Rin
have you been on Twitter nowadays? That don't mean shit anymore.
Rin definitely existed and was important to the plot, but we didn't really see a goddamn thing from Rin.
Yeah.
It was all off
No.
screen in the first film.
Because we've all seen it 100 times already.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, but like she went to fight the Matois, and at the end of the film, the Matois came to Emiya. So where the fuck is she?
In the
Oh,
mansion.
fine, yeah.
We straight up see where she's
Oh,
at.
okay,
She's
we
in
got
the
right, that's right, yeah.
she finds the bug pit.
we see
She
her
finds
find the bug pit, and she's just like,
Okay.
"Oh my god, this is what happened." Oh,
My dad knew about this.
did he? There's no way. Ah. Maybe he wasn't a good person.
Nah, he was
Yeah.
a pile of trash, and
Heaven
her
forbid.
mom deserved it too.
Okay, so here's one thing I want to talk about. We're
Yes.
going back in the routes now. We're taking it back to Studio Dean. Are you
Oh,
ready?
Lord. Yeah.
All right. So I remember this vividly. I just haven't been able to place this. However, we have a plot point that Sakura and Emiya are cooking in the kitchen, right?
Cooking.
And Emiya looks over at Sakura and is like, wait a minute, you got a bruise. Did Shinji do this to you? And this is where things diverge, right? Back in the Fate route, the first route, it's a bruise on her hand, which looks like a motherfucking command seal. In this route, it's not that. It's a whole ass bruise on her face, right? But she goes through the same thing with Emiya, right? Sakura in Heaven's Field looks at his hand and realizes, oh shit, he's got the makings of a command seal. The same bruise we saw in Studio Dean's 2006 Fate Stay Night. I knew I wasn't making this shit up.
Oh yeah. I mean, what? Like this was your first time seeing it.
In the movie, they basically did a reversal of that scene showing Sakura noticing the hand. But there is always a scene in every route where Shiro sees Sakura with a bruise and is just like, I'm gonna fuck Shinji up.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
never
But
does.
this
As one
leads
should.
into the plot of this film. We know that potentially Sakura could be a master.
Mm-hmm.
So, statistically speaking, for the uninitiated, I'm willing to bet that she's the one who brought Ryder back.
I'm like 70% with you on that one, yes.
70%.
Who-
What's the other 30?
The other
Yeah,
30
who
is
coulda done
fate.
it?
The other 30 is
That
fate.
means jack
is the
fucking
fate.
shit to me.
So I'm gonna
Exactly.
give I'm gonna give you some possibilities of how that could have happened, because it has to be someone who allegedly cares about Shiro, since Ryder saved Shiro. So it could be the priest trying to keep balance.
Bruh, the priest already
The priest
had
he
it.
doing
don't
shit.
care.
There's
No,
no
I'm
way
just
that.
saying-
I'm just
No.
gonna I'm just hey no hey in my hey.
I will say though, Zero did do a thing that could easily explain that too.
Yeah, so it could have been him. It could have been another Matoi. Could have been a character you haven't met yet.
Couldn't have been another Matoi. None of the Matois have energy except Bugman in general himself.
And he was
But
the one attacking.
Okay, So just you gotta keep in mind, just because they brought her back doesn't mean they could be controlling her. So it could be another Matoy. Dog, be quiet.
That
Bro,
I'm saying that doesn't really work.
the uncle
mean-
got cooked, and
Yeah.
and Shinji, the punk ass bitch, who was apparently the chosen one of like the first in the bloodline and all
The
that shit.
firstborn son and all that. Yeah.
Who knows if
sure
he's
he
got eaten by bugs yet? You know.
I will. If you remember in Zero, once Kirei's assassin servant was gone, he was talking with Gilgamesh, and the command spells came back on his hand. He was as long as he had those command spells, he was able to make a contract with another living servant. There's another thing. There's another thing with fate servants, though. If you don't see them actually like glitter away and die, they're not really dead.
One of you brought this up while we were watching this. They whole ass Momoto'd out of here, right?
Yeah, no, that was
It was me.
okay.
Yeah.
Hold on, yes, that
The
was
burning book and
super-
everything.
I'm like, okay, wait a minute, that is different. I'm like, that's not a command still thing. That is a book, and
You were correct. That was different.
that is way too different to actually work. Like this is some.
Now,
But I mean, look
that-
at
now
look
you
at the
got me-
Matoys. How
Because
did
you're right. Because no, it is.
Our-
It was Momoto stuff. I'm like, there's no way Momotos do not exist in this world. We're not.
So as
No
about
far as
Bowser
this
you
way.
characters around.
think about it this way, Strange? How are two Matoys masters? Because Assassin
no one said.
and Rider both belong to the Matoys.
Well, any mage can become
two
a master.
different in two
Yeah,
different.
anyway.
Well, I mean, there's
individuals.
supposed to be only one from each family. That's the lore of fate.
Supposed to be.
That's-
Supposed to be, yeah.
Well, that's
Oh,
yeah.
I'm just saying.
Also,
that-
there's not supposed to be one extra
Stay
servant just hanging around from 10 years ago, but here we are.
Yeah, there's
True.
two
I'm just saying.
ideas
This
here.
is true. This is also why Stay Night is so hard to be like the introduction to, because there are so many exceptions in
There's two
every version.
Yes. This is like ethical versus law, like what you should do and what you have to do, right? Just because there should only be one
Yeah.
from a family doesn't mean that there is a physical limitation, right?
Just-
and motherfucking daddy priest from Fate Zero had all of the command seals forever. How does that keep his son from having some? And if you got a command seal, you could be a master, right? That's how that works. Yeah. So anyways,
To be
Pokemon
a master, you need to make a contract with a servant and have a command spell, essentially.
Or just be Emiya. Just exist.
But he has those things.
I know, but he just.
In all of this, you got my hopes up about the possibilities, even though I know the answer to this because I can't be wrong. Anyways, I know where this goes because I've
I
seen
don't know. It's fate.
Studio
It's
Dean's
very
adaptation,
possible
right?
to be wrong.
But you got my hopes up that maybe, what if it's their mother?
Wouldn't
Right?
that be a twist?
What if
That'd be-
Comatose?
What if she's really
Tosaka. Tosaka
Yeah.
Mama comes back from comatose
Mama
or doing it only mentally and is controlling Ryder.
she summoned Ryder, made the contract, but can only communicate to her with telepathy.
That sounds like some fate shit if I ever heard.
that sounds like some fate shit. Well, the real
But-
answer to all of it is watch the second movie.
Find out next week on Dragon Ball Z.
Well, also the fact that does Taiga have any tie to this?
No.
No,
Mobster
No.
vibes. A house. Real
She-
estate.
the closest she ever came to having any kind of mage connection is she knew Kiritsugu. That was it.
But I
she
mean-
knows nothing about
Hey,
Kiritsugu.
all I'm saying is she went toe to toe with Saber, a servant. So, even though she got waxed, that doesn't mean
Yeah.
she's not like a
Well-
Z fighter,
This is a good point. But on top of that, who was Saber's master at the time? But Ilya.
Her mom, whatever her name, already forgot.
I don't know.
The Grail vessel, excuse me.
Damn.
You mean Irisfield?
Yeah, there we go.
Irisfield was never a master. If we're talking about that far back, then her master was Kiritsugu, and in which case, that's Saber was holding back like crazy.
No, I'm talking like, how do we prove to Taiga that we can like live in the house? And it's like, oh, if you beat me in kendo, because I'm a kendo master, and then he just got waxed. Presumably. Anything else that y'all want to touch on that happened in this film that was pretty fun or funny, exciting, memorable?
I love the cinematic camera angle. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'll come back. We'll come back to that shortly, momentarily, briefly. For me, the moment where we finally face Shinji in the alley with Ryder, and he's sucking the life out of the classmate, and we're like, what the fuck is going on? Shiro Emiya rolls up with Saber, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's going to be a fight. I remember Fate Stay Night from 2006, Studio Dean putting in the work where we get to see motherfucking Pegasus and this whole fight on the top of the thing. I'm so excited because I'm a fucking nerd. But we get like a Hulk smash scene where Saber just puts the work to Ryder. No fucking contest.
Yeah.
Punch, KO.
It is an amazing contrast. I love that scene for two major reasons. One, it's an amazing contrast from the fight before, where it seems like it's a legitimate struggle. And two, servants' abilities can very much be determined by who their master is, like how much of their own ability they can draw out from. So the fact that as bad of a master and as bad of a mage as Shiro is, he's so way above Shinji in this case.
That's because Shinji is a bitch.
Can't do shit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. That's but for me, like one of my favorite things about this cinematic camera angles that we get with this, just like the pure acrobatics, assassin, like you said, with the whole chain whip of Ryder, like Ryder's movements with her chain when she launched back at Saber, just the whole fight chase scene between Lancer and Assassin, even so much of like just the whole like look arounds of the rooms when we saw like the singularity like coming up and swamp and everything, all those angles were spectacular.
Yeah, even the calm moments, the slice of life drama moments, like
the kitchen scenes were fire.
The kitchen scenes for me, it's when Sakura and Sakura and Emiya are walking home, and they're on this road overlooking the city, and just seeing the framing and the views and the cuts between close-ups in the environment. Yes, this is why like the film format works so well, because Ufotable can invest the time to do this cinematic shit.
I love it. So yeah, no, there was a lot of good things, and I'm excited. And like, this isn't even an insult by any means. The first one is the weakest of the three. Like, it just literally progressively gets better. The second one, great. The third one is the best one. Definitely the third one cracks my. Well, I mean, all of Heaven's Feel Route cracks my top 10 anime like of all time because it's so good. Also, I love the color scheme of purple. Like, I feel like Heaven's Field is the reason why purple became my second favorite color. There's so much purple. Yeah.
Why is her hair purple, man? Why is her hair purple?
She has a recessive.
I don't know, fucking
purple
magic.
hair.
Yeah.
Her parents are black and green. There's a hope.
That
Someone
makes
did
dark green.
Someone did a Punnett square because Fate fans are weird. Someone did a Punnett square of her lineage and why her hair is purple.
Like, if you can take nothing else from this, the truest sentence that was ever said in this
Oh,
fandom. Fate
okay.
fans are weird.
Okay, nope. I know why her hair is purple. Bugs.
Yeah.
No, it was purple before the bugs, but yeah.
Based on this random image of Sakura Tosaka from the wiki, her hair is brown.
Should probably get off the wiki for all these movies.
But her legit one is when she's young Sakura is purple. And that's when her eyes lose her pupils and she's staring into the middle distance.
Yeah, when things happen.
She becomes
Bugs.
They
dead
happen in
inside.
every route. Just saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Every
no...
route.
Man, by the time we make it the Fate Extra Go order, Ilias filled as the magical girl, Strange
hard, right?
Love...
There is a Fate Strange Love.
She's gonna still be getting messed up by the bugs. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah, no, that happens in every route. Happy
Pretty
ending.
much, yeah.
Sakura.
Some things will never change.
Yay. Ooh.
All right. Well, final thoughts. Great time. Awesome film.
Yeah, watch it. If you have made it this far and haven't watched it, what have you done to yourself? Yeah, no, Fate's great. It gets better. It gets better in every sense of that. If you need to hear that, it gets better. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Stick around for the other two movies in Luck of the Irish.
We're St. Patrick's Day. We're taking a breather. But yeah, stay tuned for more Fate. The Winks. Fate. Stay night. Evansfield. Here.
Prestige flower.
That's not how that's spelled. It's
I still can't wait to find
presage.
out how the Wink
Presage.
Saga connects to the whole Fate universe.
It's
I'll
the
find a
jacket,
way.
bro.
It's the
jacket.
redheaded stepchild of the multiverse
Ah.
for
Really?
Fate.
All here
Bill. Belle
Belle?
is Shiro's mother. She just died in the fire.
Bro, all here on Content Breaker. You can catch us on all your podcatcher, talking Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Podcast at Content Breaker, or on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube as well. Content Breaker, gentlemen, you have things too.
Last Static Dreads, I had 150, but now I don't. Follow me. Yeah, straight. Stream Tuesdays sometimes.
I was just gonna let you finish. I was like, okay, if I don't have to do
Go ahead.
it.
Sometimes, except when we're
Look
doing
for Strangely
movie
Entertaining
reviews.
on the YouTubes or Twitch. We're on Twitch. I stream sometimes between 7 and 9 p.m. Tuesday Central Standard Time.
Look at
Yay.
Mr. Worldwide having to pitch sometimes. Also,
Solid,
catch other
bitch.
products as we move into Mecha March at your typical Shonen Protagonist. Zog, next week we know exactly what we're doing. What are we doing?
More Fate.
Whoa!
Movie 2. Let's go.
On Content Break.